Alright boys, what is good and welcome back on our channel. So in today's video I want to talk about mastering your DAW and actually learning how to use a digital audio workstation in detail. Now if you clicked on this video, I assume one of these two things is true. Option A is you haven't learned any DAW yet, you're just getting into music production and you want to know what is the best way to learn a DAW and to learn music production. Option B is you're already making music, you're already working with a specific DAW like FL Studio, Ableton, Cubase, Logic, whatever it is, and you want to know either how to learn like all the small details, all the quirks, or you want to get into another DAW and learn this for whatever reason it may be. Now all of this obviously just comes down to the technical knowledge about how to use a tool, how to use your DAW, which is just like a screwdriver. It's basically like a construction worker, you know? A construction worker has to know his toolkit and it's pretty straightforward, you just learn all the tools. But actually coming up with something interesting like the architect and coming up with the building that he has to build is a completely different story and completely apart from the actual toolkit, if you want to say so. So we have learning your DAW on the one side, and then we have learning music production or making music on the other side. And these two things are completely separate in my opinion. And in today's video, we're only going to talk about your DAW, learning how to use your toolkit. So let's get straight into it. There's three options on how you can learn a DAW. Now, the first option is basically figure it out as you go, just, you know, start with a project. This usually happens when you already know a DAW. So for example, if I'm using Ableton and I just open up FL Studio trying to create something, then I'm basically figuring it out as I go because I know the basic principles of how a DAW works, and this is the same and shared across all DAWs there is because they're all for music, they're all for audio, you know, they all have something in common. Or it also happens when you already have a basic knowledge of your DAW and you just explore further capacities of your DAW over time. The second option there is tutorials and masterclasses, and this is something that's really powerful. So if you're just starting out, if you're just, you know, figuring out music production, I assume you're watching a lot of tutorials, and this is basically the same for any DAW. Watching tutorials like beginner tutorials for that DAW definitely help because they show you the basic functions, the basic functionality of the DAW. If you're willing to go a step deeper, not only watch like a 15-minute video, but more like 2 to 4 hours, then masterclass is something for you. And these are up on YouTube. We can actually look up one right now, and we're just gonna type in, for example, Ableton masterclass. And I promise you, yeah, there's some videos. So for example, here's one over 4 hours. There's another one, okay, that's just 22 minutes. Now obviously there's really long videos like 2 to 4 hours. There are the ones where you learn a lot of stuff. Personally, I've never really liked watching masterclasses because they still don't show you all the knowledge there is about the DAW, and they also usually do it in a way where it's kind of boring because some stuff you already know, some stuff you don't know. I think they're really good if you're just getting into music production and you're just gonna start over, but when you're somebody who already has experience with making music, with using a DAW, it's usually very tiring and not really enjoyable. And this is where we come to option 3 and my preferred way of learning a DAW, the user manual. It sounds boring, but it's super powerful, and I feel like a lot of people sleep on this when they're figuring out new software and new plugins. Because nowadays, a lot of things don't even have user manuals. A lot of the music production hardware that you get, it doesn't come with user manuals, just plug it in and see how it works, you know? But these softwares are so complex, especially digital audio workstations. They're so complex that people have to keep track of all the features, all the functions there are, and this is why there are usually really good documentation out there. At the moment I'm learning Cubase, and I already know Ableton really good, so I'm learning Cubase. And there is a whole operation manual that has over 1,500 pages that is just about Cubase, and it basically answers every single question, every single feature there is inside this program. The way I go about this is pretty straightforward. I print out the whole manual, and you don't have to do this obviously, but I print out the manual and I just go through it from page 1 to the last page. And you know, some chapters I might skip, but besides that, this is how I rock. When it just comes to the basic functions like recording and adding tracks and play, pause, and, you know, setting up your monitors on your microphones, all of this stuff is answered within like 15 minutes in a YouTube video. And then there's like deeper tutorials that dive deeper into certain topics or certain questions, And these are also really good, but in order to achieve like the complete understanding of a program like as complex as this, you either have to spend really a ton of time in the program trying to figure it out all for yourself and, you know, work around it and try stuff out, see what it does, but this usually doesn't get you far and it's super slow. And this is where the user manual comes into hand. The user manual is also really powerful when it comes to questions or certain topics. So for example, if I wanted to know just how chord pads work, whatever it is, I would just skip to that part and I could read only this individually and I would know everything about chord pads in Cubase. Whatever it is, I don't know. But you know, I could just check this out, and these manuals are made in a way that you don't have to read from start to finish, which is great, I think. And still, I think it's super powerful to take your time, sit down and read it from start to finish. Like, dude, I don't know, 30 pages a day, 50 pages a day. These manuals, it sounds like a lot, 1,500 pages, but there's a lot of pictures. There's really not that much condensed knowledge on one page. It's not like reading 1,500 page book. So you usually go pretty fast through these. And obviously you won't be able to remember every single thing that you learn, but especially if you already have an idea how a DAW works, like in general, like the basic concepts, this can really help you like find your way in a certain DAW, like Cubase, like Ableton, like FL Studio, like all these other DAWs. Now, I would recommend doing all three methods combined, watching tutorials at first, figuring it out yourself while you're working. You know, you're always going to discover something. And then if you actually want to get deeper knowledge, if you actually want to master your DAW, go to the user manual and use that, and it's super powerful. But one thing that's crucial is you have to spend a lot of time making music in this specific DAW in order to fully master it. And you can cheat your way around a few hours, a few hundred hours maybe of using a specific DAW just by reading the user manual, watching tutorials. But in the end, if all the stuff that you know, of all the stuff that you read, watch or hear is not in your fingers, if you don't have like the muscle memory of, you know, shortcuts and all that stuff, then all this knowledge is basically worthless. And to me it's a really interesting experience because I never really appreciate how good I actually know Ableton and how much time I spend with the program, so I know it really well. I know every single thing basically about it, even though I was just as confused as every other beginner just when I started with Ableton. Now when I go into Cubase and there's all these basic things that I do just, you know, that are just on top of my head that I don't even care about when I'm working with Ableton, are now so hard in Cubase. I don't know how to add plugins, I don't know how routing works, and all this stuff comes together slowly, but it's really a tedious process and it makes you appreciate how good you actually know your software when you spend a lot of time with it. But this is what you gotta do, spend a lot of time inside your program. Now a bonus tip I can give you is definitely using Google or forums, because if you just want to have a quick answer to a quick question, if you just don't know how to, let's say, set up your MIDI keyboard with your program, you just Google it. You just Google, let's actually try this out right now with Cubase. Let's just Google setting up MIDI keyboard in Cubase. And there we go. Just instantly found a guide. Probably a little bit older, but still gonna work probably. Googling and using forums and maybe even interacting, actually asking questions, even though a lot of stuff is already answered and ready for you to read on the internet, is definitely a good way to go about making music. Now, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Wish you guys a very good day. See you in the next video. Bye.